I just spent nearly 100 hours in Icarus Console Edition on PS5, and I genuinely think this might be one of the most ambitious survival game out right now, but also one of the most frustrating. Before we get too deep into it, I think it's worth mentioning who's behind this game. Icarus. Console Edition is created by Dean Hall, who some of you might recognise as the creator of DayZ, and if you've ever played DayZ, you probably already have an idea of what that means. There's a strong focus on hardcore survival mechanics, player-driven experiences, and systems that don't always hold your hand, and you can definitely feel that influence here. In a lot of ways, Icarus feels like a different take on that same survival philosophy, just with a more structured progression system and mission-based gameplay. In this video, I want to talk about my first experience with Icarus, Console Edition, and honestly, this one surprised me more than I expected. Now, just to be clear from the start, I've never played the PC version of Icarus. This is my very first time jumping into the game, completely fresh, but I am a long-time survival game fan. I've spent countless hours in this genre, so I feel like I have a pretty good sense of what works and what doesn't. And with that said, I genuinely think this might be one of the most ambitious survival games currently available on console. Right from the beginning, Icarus throws you into a harsh, unforgiving environment, and it doesn't hold your hand much. You land on this alien planet with almost nothing, and from that point on, it's all about survival. Gathering resources, crafting tools, building shelter. All the core elements are here. But what stood out to me immediately is just how deep everything goes. The more I play, the more I level up, unlock new tech, and earn talents. And it just keeps pulling me back in. The game already offers so many activities, missions, mining, food gathering, base building, crafting gear and consumables, and even just organising your massive storage can take time. It's the kind of game where you sit down for an hour and suddenly half the day is gone. The crafting system in this game is honestly one of its biggest strengths. It's not just about making a few tools and weapons. It feels like an entire progression system on its own. You start simple, with basic tools and materials, but over time, you unlock more advanced recipes, stations, and systems. Building is also surprisingly flexible. You can create anything from a basic shelter to a fully functional base, and then go even further, decorating, organising, optimising your space. And cooking? That's another layer entirely. It's not just for survival, it actually matters. Different foods give different buffs, and learning what to cook and when adds a nice strategic element. It really feels like the game rewards you for investing time into its systems. Now let's talk about something that genuinely impressed me, the storms. The weather in Icarus isn't just visual. It's a real threat. When a storm rolls in, you feel it. The wind picks up, visibility drops, and suddenly your base, the thing you spent all that time building, is at risk. There's this constant tension during storms, especially early on. You're hoping your shelter holds up, watching things shake and break, and just trying to survive it. It adds a level of immersion that a lot of survival games don't quite reach. As a survival game, Icarus really leans into the genre, and I mean really. You're managing health, stamina, food, water, temperature, and all of it matters. You can't just ignore systems and brute force your way through. If you're not prepared, the game will punish you, whether it's from wildlife, the environment, or just poor planning. But at the same time, that's what makes it satisfying. Every small success, building a safe base, crafting better gear, surviving a tough situation, feels earned. Another thing I really enjoyed is the variety. The game features different biomes, each with its own challenges, resources, and dangers. What works in one area might not work in another, so you're constantly adapting. There's also a noticeable difficulty curve. Some missions or areas are much tougher than others, and the game doesn't shy away from that. It keeps things interesting, especially if you enjoy being challenged. One of the most satisfying parts of Icarus is the sense of progression. As you level up, you unlock talents and technologies that completely change how you play. You go from primitive survival, stone tools and basic shelters, to more advanced tech, better equipment, and more efficient systems. It's a slow burn, but in a good way. You really feel your character evolving over time, and that progression keeps you coming back. Now, I've been playing this mostly solo, and I think that's worth mentioning. A lot of survival games are clearly designed with multiplayer in mind, but Icarus actually holds up really well on your own. Yes, it can be challenging, sometimes even frustrating, but it's also incredibly rewarding. There's a strong sense of independence when you manage everything yourself, from base building to exploration to survival. And in terms of longevity, there's a lot here. Between missions, progression, base building, and just experimenting with different approaches, this is not a short experience, especially if you take your time. There are some technical problems that you should be aware of. I've experienced occasional crashes, a few toolbar freezes, and some frame rate stutters, especially during more intense moments like storms or when a lot is happening on screen. You'll also notice minor graphical glitches from time to time. Nothing completely game-breaking in most cases, but definitely areas where the game could use more polish. There's also one more thing worth mentioning, especially if you're thinking long-term. From a recent developer livestream, it was mentioned that there's currently no clear roadmap for the console version of Icarus. They also aren't sure when or how the console version will fully catch up with all the content that's already available on PC. Now, that might sound a bit concerning at first, but at the same time, the game already offers a lot of content to dive into, especially if you're new like me. So while the future updates are a bit uncertain right now, there's still plenty here to enjoy in its current state. I put the video link in the description if you want to hear this yourself. That said, I've put nearly 100 hours into the game so far, and I'm still playing, which honestly says a lot. Because even with those issues, the core gameplay loop is so engaging, rewarding, and satisfying that I keep coming back for more. I also spent some time playing in multiplayer, and this is where the game becomes even more enjoyable. Playing with friends, building together, surviving storms as a team, it just adds a completely new layer to the experience. It's chaotic at times, but in the best way possible, and it really enhances what the game already does well. Before we wrap things up, I just wanted to throw this out there. If you're playing Icarus, Console Edition on PS5, and you're looking for someone to team up with, I'd definitely be up for it. At this point, I've reached level 60, and I've built a pretty strong and well-established base, so I've spent a lot of time learning the systems, progressing through the tech tree, and really getting a feel for how the game works. But even with that experience, I know there's still a lot more to tackle, especially when it comes to the harder difficulties, and particularly on the Prometheus map. That's where I feel like playing with others would make a huge difference, and honestly, just make the experience even more enjoyable. So whether you're interested in starting a fresh world, grinding for specific resources, running tougher missions, or just jumping in to build, explore, and level up together, I'm open to all of it. I really enjoy the progression and teamwork side of survival games, and I think Icarus Console Edition has a lot to offer when you play with the right group. So if you're a committed player or just someone who wants to team up and have a good time, feel free to reach out in the comments and let's survive Icarus together. Overall, I've really enjoyed my time with Icarus on PlayStation 5 so far. It's deep, challenging, and incredibly ambitious. If you're a fan of survival games, especially ones that reward patience, planning, and progression, this is definitely worth checking out. Just be prepared for a bit of roughness around the edges, but if you can look past that, there's a really great experience here. Thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments if you've tried Icarus or if you're thinking about picking it up.